I'm a Kintampo United fan, and I want us to grow our local team. No matter what challenges that we have, we are showing that there's something positive about us. And yesterday, we trounced of Tunisia. Yes, we trounced them, and we'll beat them on the second leg.
Really?
We'll chase them there and beat them.
You sure?
Yes, that's the spirit and the power of Asante Kotoko.
Okay.
It is not just a team, it's a spirit.
Okay. Right. Okay, so based on that spirit note, my next guest in the studio, he's from the Jubilee House. He's a presidential staffer. He's an aspiring member of parliament for Ningo Pram Pram with the NPP. He is in the person of Alexander Marty. Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Danny.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
I wish I could speak some Krobo. I would have asked you something in Krobo.
What do you want to ask? Say it, I'll translate it for you.
How are you and how are you getting mixed up with the constituency? How's it going?
You can't say it. I've said it for you.
But how's it going?
Oh, it's going well.
Okay.
Grace abounds on me.
Sure.
Everything is going very well.
Sure. And the presidency?
The presidency is fine.
Okay, interesting. Nice one. Kabila was saying he is Ikwatoko fan. How about you? Which of the teams is it? Hearts of Folk? Is it which one do you like? Which one do you support?
Fobiai.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. That's a nice one. All right. So why are you laughing?
I just got a message from my brother Kodechu Bafo. I won't read it. I won't dignify his negative comment, but I want him to know that Kotoko is Kotoko.
All right. Okay.
All
right. Then sitting in the midst of these two handsome gentlemen, we have Agnes Naa Momo Lartey, NDC parliamentary candidate for Krowo for Krowo. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. And you?
We are very fine. How's the NDC party?
The NDC is doing well. It's getting better and better. And I hope we'll be in the best shape by the time we are ready for the polls. So we are getting better and better.
And once again, let me say congrats for winning your primaries.
Thank you.
How did it go? Was it good? Was it challenging?
It was challenging. Every contest is challenging, even though
you had stiff opposition.
The margin was very big, but 244 against 933. But then it was a family contest, so it was good for the party. I was able to, with my brother who contested me, revive the branches. So it was a good contest. I mean,
it's nice when we see the women winning and taking the lead as well. It's so good. Now, Kabila is a Kotoko fan. Alex from the presidency is a phobia guy. How about you?
I am all phobia.
Oh, really?
I am everything.
So you better take a decision.
Now, you see that is where the spirit of Kotoko is challenged.
Why?
Kuma pema apemba. You are never alone.
I wonder what team
we multiply.
We never
one of us against the two of them. You will see how it will end up this morning.
But in this case, your own words against you. You are never alone, but you're alone.
You're alone. That is why. No, you see. But I wonder. Kotoko is not just a team.
Yeah.
It is also a spirit.
Okay.
You may be thinking I am here alone.
I don't think
you don't know the person that has behind me.
It's more of
no idea.
I wonder what team
Akwesi belongs to. Than
I wonder what team Akwesi belongs to.
His team is in the 17th edition. It's in the 17th edition.
He says he's a Kotoko fan.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, okay, so we're going to our very first story, and we're looking at Ghana's commitment to terrorism fight is absolute. Akufo-Addo. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged authorities of head of states and government of the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, to accept and implement the ECOWAS Commission's proposals on dealing with terrorism in the region. According to President Akufo-Addo, the Commission's plan, when properly implemented, can address substantially the problem of terrorism within the region. The priority, and the quotes, the priority areas touch on every aspect of the terrorism conquer, from promotion of inter-community dialogue, intelligence gathering and sharing, strengthening border security controls, training and equipping state actors, dealing with terrorism and financing, coordination of counter-terrorism efforts, strengthening control of arms and dual use of goods, and the mobilization of resources to fund counter-terrorism within the region. He said he was addressing the ECOWAS extraordinary session on Saturday in Ouagadougou, capital of Burkina Faso. President Akufo-Addo indicated that our situation in West Africa has become very, very grave, with the presence of operatives and surrogates of Al-Qaeda functioning in the Sahel and Boko Haram militants operating around the Lake Chad Basin. Very deep, serious words here. But let me start with you, Kabila. What do you make of this call? We normally see the ECOWAS as they go for these meetings. It's always talk. But how practical, like he's saying, he's calling on leaders. How practical are we going to make this work within ourselves? Even are we even gelling?
Well, Danny, thank you very much. And with your kind permission, before I delve into it, you recall that 2 weeks ago I announced of a PDA festival in Manchala.
Sure.
And that it was on the 13th. Subsequent, I said it had been postponed. Sure. Indeed, this week on Friday, 20th of September, the PDA festival among the people of Manchala in the Kintampo North Municipal Assembly will take place. And Nabi Sakwane is inviting all indigenes of Manchala to meet and celebrate the Yam Festival. I have been told by the organizers that they are going to have some historical recount, and perhaps I'm suggesting to them that they should involve soccer, so that we can emerge or evolve a team from Manchala Football Club to come and compete with Asante Kotoko and Phobia one day surely. On with that, Danny, you know, our president, I have said here before, to his credit, that his posturing and rhetoric are positioning him in a very good stead among African nations. And the narrative you just read adds to that. He was Foreign Affairs Minister, and so here he's merely displaying his deep understanding of foreign relations and how it plays. And then the complexity of the fight against terrorism. Danny, there are triggers of insecurity that, you know, emerge at various levels and stages. We see them at the local level in various shapes and forms. It is that those very symptoms that grow into high-level terrorism. if we can deal with those triggers of insecurity, those drivers of insecurity, surely we'll be able to match whatever causal factors there are to terrorism. And then, even when we are not able to preempt or stop them, if they come up into play head on, we can, face them and, unravel whatever challenges there are. What the president said that you read calls for deeper, broader, and wider collaborations among nations. The citizens, first. Second, among the institutions that have been entrusted with the responsibility of managing our intelligence and security architecture. Our police, our military, our secret services, those within immigration, and then customs, and all the other security setups that we know. And it is good to note that Ghana has been a shining example for many African countries because of the example we set from independence, that many nations come to learn from us. Good that we now have a whole research academy for the security setup there. Ghana Armed Forces College, the Kofi Annan Peace Center. Yes, you have no idea the number of African, people from other African nations who come here, chief security officers who come here to learn.
But Kabila, we're learning on the table, but out there, are we learning?
Well, you have to learn on the table before you go out there to the practice. Practice without theory is blind. And theory without practice is empty. You need that. You need that theoretical work done on the table to guide you. Education is key, it's important. It's the only thing that liberates the mind. And if you are not liberated mentally, there's nothing you can do.
Do you think, your time is almost up, everybody has 5 minutes. Do you think that the words of Kwame Nkrumah saying that the total liberation of the African continent, if we're really that together, can we as a continent
when
fight this?
Talked about the total
is this
liberation,
still haunting us?
Yes. When he talked about the total liberation, he didn't just talk about the total liberation. He talked about the total liberation indeed, and talked about the African Military Command.
Yeah.
A common security architecture that would permeate across, regulated within one authority. Unfortunately, I have maintained that AU, the Organization for African Unity, metamorphosing into AU, is a failure. No matter what positive that we were to move from an organization preparatory structure into a continental government. We have not been able to do that. No matter what positives we have attained, I don't think we have reached that mark. And the president's call should be tied in with that. And so I'm happy with the connection that you brought to it, that the collaboration among African countries will be meaningless unless we structure it within a single continental framework of governance.
Well, let me come to you, Madam Agnes. Picking a bite from what Kabila has said, the synergy between institutions, let's say security institutions amongst African nations, is it there? Because we go for these conferences, ECOWAS, AU and all that, fine proposals come out, but the implementation, are we having a synergy within security councils, security institutions? Because without that, look at Boko Haram, it's there, and what are even African countries even doing about it? So sometimes we really want to see a real picture painted of what's really going on, of these policies that really come out, Madam.
Thank you very much. Before I go into the issue, I would like to say a very good morning to the people of Kruwa. It's the issue on the table now is very serious. Security and anything that threatens the very life of the people within a state is a very serious issue, and I think that there's no need to window dress them. In the first place, you quoted something from Nkrumah, meaning that some foundation has been laid, and it is not now. Previous governments, presidents from Ghana, who have had opportunity to serve at various levels, especially within the ECOWAS, ECOWAS bloc, have actually laid some foundation, have done some work. And so it doesn't come as a surprise if the president now is also calling for some more significant action to be taken. The growth has been very slow, and everybody bemoans the fact that we are seeing a lot of things that ECOWAS wants to do, and yet when it comes to implementation, it's very slow. The issue of terrorism is now a threat to the whole world. But there's something that my brother said, and I think that I would like to also take it to, let me say, a very basic level. The issue of security should start at home. If member states will hold their front, look at the issues that threaten security right from the home, it will be easier to tackle it.
Charity begins at home.
Charity begins at home. It will be easier to tackle it at the bigger level. At least whatever decision is taken, it should be localized, because whatever confronts say other member states in terms of security threats might not be the same, or the gravity might not be the same when it comes to other states. What I want to say is that Ghana has to also look at what we are doing in terms of security. We see the issues, now you see insecurity all over. You are threatened and you are afraid when you are coming home late. Even in the home, I tell people that you need to take responsibility for your own security. So let's look at the basic things that we are doing. One threat to security in Ghana now is unemployment. It brings a lot of vices into the society. And that is one of the things that we should be able to look at and tackle head-on as a people. It is not just about telling people that, oh, these are the actions that we are collectively going to take. It's a good step. They need to remind each other of their commitments and the reasons, the responsibilities and obligations that lies on them. But then we need to also look at it. There's very little things that we can do to ensure that the sub-region is very secured. And I think that when you share border with your neighbor, you also want to show that once you are secured, your neighbor is also secured. If there's insecurity in your neighbor's territory, you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself against that. I think that whatever issues the president is raising, and the call on the member states to make sure that there's implementation of the decisions that they have taken, I think it is very important that they hold on to it. But then they should also internally look within the countries and see the threats that are there, so that collectively they can solve the problem.
So Alex, adding to what Madam Agnes has said, it leads to another question for you now. There's President Akufo-Addo indicated Ghana's support in principle for the proposal made by President Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire for the funding of West Africa's counter-terrorism efforts, but stressed that Ghana needs further consultation to arrive at a concrete figure. So like you said, I mean, it begins from home before you cast your shadow out there. Now, so based on this as well, where they're even looking at a West Africa counter-terrorism unit. He also said way back the Nkrumah called for some Africa something. Now, so it's command. It keeps on popping up. Now, so based on this, what's your take on this, sincerely?
Thank you very much, Danny. I think permit me to say greetings to a few people. In the first place, I want to greet the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his vice, and also my boss, Lord Kome, and Alhaji Mahmoud. I also want to greet my people at Ningo Pram Pram, the chiefs and the people of Ningo Pram Pram, and more so to my delegates. We are preparing feverishly to kill it on the 28th September.
Delegates are very interesting, right?
Yeah, they are. They are very friendly to.
Okay, I like that.
Yes. They know actually what they want.
Friendly.
Whoever they are engaging in, they will.
But Shakespeare says
that they will open up to everybody, but actually they know what they want.
That's it. And like Shakespeare says, there are daggers in the smiles of men. Exactly. So be careful.
It's exactly so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, concerning what the president said at the conference, I think it's actually a concern, because as my sister said, when your neighbor's house is burning, you should, or when your neighbor's chick is burning, you should get water ready, because whenever it gets to your turn, you might have your neighbor gone, so you might have to put it off yourself, so you might get your water ready. And I think it is so in the same light the president tried to put it across to the ECOWAS neighbors that as a regional body we need to cooperate with each other in terms of intelligence sharing and so many other things that will help us reduce or demobilize the
but like Madam Agnes, we said, even within our borders, intelligence, we're not even there yet.
Yeah, but I think the ECOWAS countries, especially from Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, the security architecture has been cooperating very well of late, and they have been having their occasional meetings and sharing intelligence.
Okay.
All that is earmarked to reducing or eradicating anything that have to do with terrorism. And you see, as a country, we are also doing well. Kabila always say that we have a lot of positives which we have to project. If you look at terrorism, mostly it thrives on financing. And if you get into our financial sector now, you see it is even paying money into somebody's account, the requirement, the information you have to give out about yourself, even it scares anybody who would like to engage in anything of the sort. So as a country, we are actually taking the steps forward. And as my sister postulated, I think we are on the path and we will get there.
Alex, I can walk into the Accra Mall, for example, or some of the mall, carrying a bag. Nobody will ask me any questions. Maybe, okay, because it's on TV, so they think, okay. But then somebody can just walk in, carrying a bag. Nobody's asking any questions. Security men are just standing. People just pass. Anything can happen. Are we dealing with it?
I think what you have said is right. And what we need to do is not to make security men go about searching people, but we should have scanners at various places so that anytime anybody passes, technology-wise, we should be able to scan the person, and that will actually increase the safety of the citizens.
I'll quickly go to my next topic, but before that, Madam Agnes, and I'll come to Kabila as well. We used to have this ECOMOG. Is that unit still there?
Let me say that
because if we want to fight together as a bloc, then we need to do something.
I mean, for you to even ask, it means that they've been
I want to ask Kabila the same question.
It's been dormant for a while. Most of us don't hear of their activities. I can't say that they don't exist because I don't have.
But do you think we need a unit like that?
We actually need some form of a corporate security within the sub-region for us to be able to, cooperate with each other in terms of security issues. I think there's a structure that works to that effect. But then there's something I want to say about what you said about walking into the mall or something like that. I mentioned that taking responsibility for our own security is a good place to start off. And I think there's a culture that I know of not only Ghana but some other countries within Africa that actually I don't know whether it makes it a security risk for us, our attitude. Sometimes we are too hospitable, we are too trusting to the extent that someone comes into a community and is looking for somebody and people still don't mind, even though now we are a bit careful, people don't mind saying that go and show this person where that person lives. And in this day and age of kidnapping and other things, I think that we need to be extra careful. There were times that gone are the days when you enter a community and straight away everyone identifies you as a stranger. Now we've mixed up so much in the name of globalization, such that when people come in, it's difficult to know whether they are strangers or not. But then yes, there's a need to make sure that the structures that are supposed to coordinate the security issues within on the continent or within the sub-region are very, very well resourced.
Okay.
There's the issue of financing, which becomes a problem. So when it comes to the issue of terrorism. Yeah. But then I'm talking about economic issues, economic empowerment, unemployment. It's a great threat to security in Africa. Sure. And I think that the earlier leaders rise up to it, the better it will be for us. Okay. Look at the many people we have in the bracket of unemployed people, the people who have been laid off, by the banks and other sectors that have come home. Okay. It becomes a threat to us. Right. And I think that we should look at it and do the little bits and then get ourselves up there.
Okay. Now, Kabila, I knew why you're smiling on that. But then,
how could you read my mind?
I know. Yeah. But then Kabila, just quickly, and I'll go to my next topic.
Yes,
the economic bits, and then also, this also says that he also had the authority not to ignore offers of assistance and solidarity, especially the one recently made at the G7 meeting of the world's most advanced economies in Biarritz, France last month on 25th August, which aims at strengthening peace and security cooperation and increasing support to Sahel states in the fight against terrorism. So,
yes. If my memory serves me right, ECOMOG was a special unit established for Liberia, mainly drawn from Ghana and Nigeria. So ECOMOG, was it Arnold Queno, who led the Ghana team?
Yeah.
Lieutenant General Arnold Queno.
Yes.
It was specifically for Liberia, and I want to believe that the ECOWAS leaders at the time intended that ECOMOG will then become a standing army that can deal with tendencies or situations such as what happened or what the overstretched civil war that took place in Liberia. And so if you don't hear of ECOMOG, perhaps it is part of the positives I have talked about, that we have not degenerated that far where we have been required to pull a standing army to move into a nation to bring sanity there, like we had in Liberia. So, well, if you don't have ECOMOG, I mean, being bandied about, perhaps that's a little I can speculate about it. I mean, informed speculation.
Okay. But
quickly. Yes. Yeah. Then I think that the suggestion that we should take assistance or support from advanced countries is a good one. Yeah. In the world today, we live in a global village. What affects one directly, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., affects all indirectly. So that if you have more sophisticated intelligence systems or equipment being shared from those advanced economies with us, there's nothing wrong with that. However, I will caution against wholesale acceptance of any form of intelligence equipment that we are ignorant of.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, it is also about control. It is also about management of the thinking processes of our people, and also micromanaging our security managers, including the president. Forget not that the president of the republic in our state system is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He is also the chairman of the National Security Council. So if you have some other nation trying, not just giving, not sharing, but trying through the guise of sharing intelligence, manipulating the information that comes to our president and the decisions that will follow that, then you are in danger.
So we should be mindful of that.
Yes, it's a good advice, but hey, don't just take such information uneducated about the implications.
That in itself is a security threat.
It's a security threat.
That in itself
we must be careful. And I mean,
how can we do these things ourselves? You know,
Danny, technology abounds today.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is there.
Okay.
We can buy and improve on some of these things. Look, I've suggested, for example, some of the boys that we arrest in Sakawa who have been doing this computer
smart,
fraud. I'm telling you that in Israel, if you go, they call them cyber commandos. They pick them from their negativity and then train them into positivity.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how a nation thinks. They have no jobs to do.
Interesting.
Put them to good use.
So those guys are smart, huh?
I tell you.
They're smart.
And they can work on programming, data entry.
Yeah. Right. My next story. We're looking at
let me
quickly.
Quickly. I think my
the man from the Jubilee House.
Yes, from the Jubilee House.
of unemployment and the banking collapse and
let's not do politics with this.
No, we have to.
Okay. I don't think we should do politics.
You want to respond to that?
It's not a matter per se because that's the fact.
She was looking at the security aspect of it. Okay, why?
I'm also coming to tell you what the government is doing to improve employment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as Ghanaians we all know that employment has each up since President Akufo-Addo took over the reins of this country.
Individuals funding political parties, or let's say like my brother will be going, I've had the opportunity to see my level now. If individuals come to us and they say that they are funding our activities, it comes with some consequences. Some of them might be from family members, but then there will be expectations when you have won. When the party is funded, yes, there will be some expectation, but I think it reduces the gravity of it. If the state is funding the activities of political parties, it also comes with its own consequences. But then what I think we should look at is which is more in the fight against corruption, which is the better option for us. And NCCE has been talking about it. Other civil society organizations have equally been raising issues about it. And you know, once we reduce the issue of politics to ability to pay, it becomes a big issue because you have people who have the capacity, people who are capable of doing great things, but because of lack of finances, withdrawing. And so you have people who have the means and yet do not have the capacity coming to the forefront. And then when you have other people who have their own selfish interest coming in to say that I will fund you, but then at the end of the day, this is what is on the table. It becomes like an investment that has to yield some profit for benefit. And if we are looking at it from that perspective, then we'll be doing ourselves a great disservice. We'll have leaders who will come to power, and then at the end of the day, those leaders will have to go and, level up some potholes that were created in the area of funding. So NCCE should actually rise up to this call. And I also say that the state should also look at resourcing that institution to make sure that the issues that Ghanaians need to be aware of are brought up, not only when it is getting to political periods or elections, but then we are made aware and we take decisions way ahead. This should be backed by policies that will, make them firmer. And I think that the debate should go on. It shouldn't just end with the director being at a meeting and calling on, people to look at it from that perspective.
Right. Okay. Let me come to Alexander. Yes. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think the NCC call is a good call, but I think as NCC, as they propose that the political parties should fund their activities. I think the NCC too should be educating the citizenry at the way when people come up to try to take up leadership position, and they see them as people who have gotten so much money and citizens would like to take from them. Yeah, but if citizens will also understand that whoever steps up to offer to serve the state, it's not because the person is rich, but it's because the person want to sacrifice to also help in the national development.
Okay.
If we all see it so, it will bring down the cost of politics in our state, and that will also go a long way to reduce corruption and all the allied activities that goes with it.
Okay. Now, in connecting with politics as well, Professor Atahiru Jega, a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, has advised politicians not to perceive political election as a do-or-die affair, but a healthy competition. This change of mindset about elections, he said, will prevent electoral violence, maintain peace, and facilitate development on the continent. What do you think?
Yeah,
that's do and die for a lot of people.
And it shouldn't be. Yes, it shouldn't be, because if you want to serve,
Madam Agnes is smiling.
if you want to serve and your people, and it's the people you want to serve, you allow them to freely choose who they want to serve. Yeah, your life shouldn't depend on it as if when you don't get the chance to serve, you are going to die the next day. No. So it shouldn't be a do or die affair.
Okay. Yes, boss.
Those who do politics as a do or die or do and die are not people interested in service.
But that's what we see, right?
Well, I think that you can say there are a lot of people in politics who may not be serving by the very nature or manner in which they lord themselves over people and do not engage in the kinds of services that require of service to the people. But there are people also serving, and that is why I am against lumping people together and trying to, kill confidence in the political establishment or politicians. The challenges that we have among politicians permeate every sector of our society. Go to the churches, among journalists, the security setup, traditional authorities and leaders. Sometimes it's our nature and attitude my sister talked about. Okay, so it's important that we appreciate what service is and what leadership is about. Having said that, you see, the call from the NCC director, Danny, I don't know, but I think that sometimes some of these calls are misplaced.
Why?
Individual members of parties do not have the same strength. And if you come to our parties, there are levels that we are called contributors.
Really?
Yes.
There's all
it's not across, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You have some people paying. In NDC, you have got platinum, you have got diamond.
Okay.
From your very foundations. In my party, central committee members, we levy ourselves at every central committee meeting.
Okay.
If you go to
is that helping?
Yes, that's how you can run the party.
Okay.
But there are general dues that everybody pays the same.
I'm saying the general dues that you put, there's a threshold, and that threshold, it is for nobody to go below. But people pay higher.
Of course.
That's why I'm saying that call is misplaced in the sense that at every time you have some people within the party who will pay more than others.
Okay.
Based on their strength. That is not the problem. Because at the end of the day, running a party is not made up of only, it's not based on only mobilizing financial resources. It is also about intellectual resources. There are some people who don't have the money from the pocket, but it is their brain work that establishes the framework, the thoughts, the thought processes, the ideas, the slogans that you hear people shouting. It is some people who pen it. Yeah. That's why I told you that you cannot go into the practice without the table work. So you need to do that. There are people whose whole business or contribution to the party's evolution, development is paperwork. So at the end of the day, what we need to do in fighting corruption is to strengthen these institutions by placing men and women of integrity, of courage, who will see Alex Marty and say that Alex is my friend. You have beat the law, and the law must deal with you. It is not hatred, it is not personal. It is not personal. It is the law working.
Okay.
And I know examples in this country. Recently, COP Kofi Boakye gave an example when he addressed the Ghana Bar Conference this year, that at one time when they had made a law, they were enforcing the law that DV number plates should not drive from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And his mother was caught into it. He was the regional police boss. The mother was expecting the son, who is the police chief, to intervene. He said, "Mother, this one, go to court. They will fine you. I'll go and pay." Do that way you do not obstruct the law.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of example. Look, what's his name? Victor Usu, when he was Attorney General, his uncle was involved in a matter. He said the matter went to court. They thought as Attorney General he was going to, circumvent the process. Or he said no, the law must take its course.
Okay.
So, like Professor A.P.K. Kluje said, what we need is a set of men and women with integrity who will insist that the right things be done in terms of the law enforcement and arresting law offenders.
Okay. Well, I'll be doing my last story. We have about 10 more minutes to go.
Just a second on. I was smiling because I had all die be die on my mind. But then on the more serious note, I'm looking at people entering into leadership from a frustrated point of view. And I think that is what you all see. Looking at it critically, go into it with a spirit to serve. And that is it. It is not a profit-making venture.
Right, let me quickly do from a few messages, then I'll go to my last story, and that will be their last words. And this one says that, Kabila, this is from Kojo Takradi, when is CPP coming?
CPP is appearing and featuring prominently today, and we will be present very strongly in 2020.
Now this one
says, should join us. I'm inviting Kojo to join the CPP.
And this one says, good morning, please tell the presidential staffer, we can't hear him, you should speak loudly. So speak out. They say you should speak out. And then this one says, good morning. Please, can we find those spy cameras in Ghana? I'll talk to my producer and let's see what other information. And then I think this, our beloved president, is trying to make this country a better nation. And we should all pray and support to put the nation in a better position. Good morning to your panelists. All right, my last story, we're looking at utility services, telcos damaging our roads. Minister, now, the Roads Ministry has bemoaned what it says is the lack of professionalism exhibited by utility services and telecommunications companies in the laying of pipes along roads. Now, according to the Sector Minister, Kwesi Amakwata Honorable, some of the culprits embark on such activities secretly without permission from his outfit and end up causing serious damage to the roads. In an interview with City News, Kwesi Amakwata says, going forward, his ministry will incorporate such activities when designing road networks. All right, let me start with you, Alexander.
Thank you very much. I think the minister should have said that they, as a ministry or as a state, we have not been proactive in the way we think.
Thank you.
Because
I like that.
As a state, we should know that when we are designing roads, there will be pipe-borne water layout, there will be telephone cable layout.
Sure.
So we should demarcate, at least we should have holes under the roads where those things can pass under. So if we don't do that, and at a point in time, we will come and say, we will go and see people digging the highways. Seriously, it's an indictment on all of us. So now that he has seen it, they should start working.
No, but these guys too, when you are digging this stuff and you finish, they don't even cover it. They do not.
They're digging. When the road is constructed and it is dug and it's even repaired, it doesn't fit as the original. So the best thing for us to do is to design and incorporate everything that we will need, to cross the road. So that at every point in time, whenever any company wants to connect to the other side of the road, they just go under the road and connect.
Okay, Kabila, I mean, when in international standards, when we travel and all that, you see, they call them ducts, provision of ducts, okay, where it's within the median of the road. It's always there. I mean, basic little engineering.
It is a manifestation of one thing that is lacking in our system. with all the so-called years of competence of 26 years NDC, MPP put together.
Why are you saying that? This is a country.
Yes.
It's way back.
Hold it.
Yes.
Go and look at
Start with
CP. Go and look at please, I'm telling you something.
Yeah.
This country was being built in an organized manner. Go and look at the drainage system in Dansuma. And Kukumemle. Go and compare them to other places in Accra.
Okay.
You see, Danny, the point is that as a country, we have failed to have collaborative planning. And what do I mean by that? The utility services that you're talking about, the pipes for water, lines for electricity, telephone taps or cables, all these things follow a certain line, and they must be taken into account when you are building your road network. Not just the highways, even the streets within our neighborhood, town streets, and so on and so forth. If you are going to have that collaborative system and planning, led by the National Development Planning Commission, for example, you are going to have a representative from the telecoms. You are going to have a representative from the water company. You are going to have a representative from the electricity company. All of them sitting together with their maps and the map with which you are going to construct these roads. That's what I mean collaborative planning. It is missing.
Do we have? And I'm saying that. Do we have city engineers?
We do. Okay, our town and country planning. Then all I'm trying to tell you is that something that used to work for Ghana is no more working. We can go back.
So at what point did it stop working?
It is not so necessary now that we have realized that it is not working. Let us now begin to make it work. You see, if you dwell too much on the descriptives, you see how the two of them jumped in. If you dwell too much on the descriptives, we will lie with blame game. But I want us to make progress.
Yeah, let's make progress.
Let us say that now we think it is imperative.
But at times it's too late.
It is imperative we do that now. So I agree with Mr. Alexander Martin that the roads minister, my own father Amakwata,
that's a good point.
He should lead the process by calling the collaborative ministries. The Ministry of Communication, the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of...
He says they are bypassed. People don't even come to them for any consultations.
It's not about people. Has he held a meeting with them? Have they had a roundtable discussion to look at this problem? Yes. So that's what we should do. And then I want to say that the National Development Planning Commission should be allowed to lead in playing its part in our national development planning process.
Are they even there?
They are there.
They are there.
And we spend money on them.
Professor Dai is there.
Okay.
We spend money on that outfit.
Yeah.
We are supposed to invest even more there for research and development.
But are their works even taken?
It's very important.
Considered? Yes, Madam Agnes.
I think it's a very important thing, and if there's any word I would lean on, it's the word used by my brother, proactiveness. There's a need to be more proactive. We most often do a lot of talking without looking at walking the talk. In this case, this is a ministry or a sector that is supposed to be supervising the activities and operations of some of these agencies or what do you call it, companies. What is the essence of decentralization? They have their presence at the local level. If you have your presence at the local level, you empower your presence there to ensure that quality work is done. And when the quality work is done, you are also making sure that there's monitoring and actual good supervision of the work being done. At the local level, it is easier for road officers or engineers to see somebody trying to dig a road, across the road to lay a pipe or something. What are the punitive measures? What are the issues that people need to know that they do not need to do? Sometimes you even have people from Ghana Water Company digging themselves. And it's an agency that needs to know that this is not supposed to be done. So I am just trying to make the point that there's a need for us to rise up to the call and make sure that in terms of quality, I served as a presiding member at LECMA. At that time, for urban roads, we built, what do they call it, the quality assurance machine, a room that ensured that the material lab. that ensured that even the materials that were used in constructing the road were of good quality.
Okay.
And Letma was the one that was able to establish that thing. I think that the road minister should look at making sure that the substructures at the local level are working.
Okay.
Because the essence of decentralization is to bring governance to the local people.
All right,
the
okay.
doorstep for the local people.
Right, so on that note, it ends the prayer segment, and somebody says, this is Sunny Ali, Hajja's brother, Chair Ado. He says good morning. All right, all right, my producer says I should give you a minute each to wrap it up, and then I'll also wrap up, and then we hand over to our account segment. So let me start with Kabila.
Well, I want to say that let us all build a positive mental attitude towards the development of our country.
Okay.
This is all we have got. We can make it together. Don't think too highly of yourself, because after all, one day, when you are no more, this country will move on, with or without you.
Sure. Right, and then we go to Madam Agnes. 1 minute.
I also want to say that it is very important for us to ensure as a nation that the systems and the structures are working. We shouldn't build systems and structures around individuals. There's a need to look at things holistically and be proactive in the things that we put on paper. We shouldn't put up policies that will have to tomorrow we do it today, tomorrow we spend money, in fact in the closest future spend money to undo. There's a need for us to look deep into the future and be more proactive in the issues we put up. There are so many policies that needs to be implemented. We should make sure that they are being implemented and we actually walk the talk and make sure that they are implemented. We have value for money in terms of the things we do.
Right, aspiring MP for Ningo Promprom, presidential staffer. 1 minute.
And Ghana is all that we have, and I think as citizens we should play active role in nurturing and beautifying Ghana. And I want us to take sanitation in our country very, very seriously. I also want to call on the assembly members of the various communities. They should ensure that there is cleanliness in their various electoral areas.
Okay.
There are places you go, and if you look at the way the communities have been lifted, you ask if there is any local leadership. And I think as assembly members, they should try and begin thinking to ensure that their communities are clean as well.
Okay. Right, beautiful words to end this. And coming, I was watching a feature.
Momo, Momo, na Momo, how are you go? Momo, Momo, na Momo, Momo, na Momo, Momo, how are you go? Momo, na Momo, 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 na Momo, Momo, how are you go? Momo, Momo, na Momo, 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 how are you go? Momo, na Momo, Momo, how are you go? Nele Momo, 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 Gadidim, Gadem, Ene Gadidim, Gadem.